We said it was good, and he's here. Nice to see you, George. You dropped the boy, haven't you?
Well, I haven't, actually. But I mean, what it was, I started doing a show for BSB, and I was doing, like, a VJ show, and I started calling myself George. Right. I think that's what it's kind of come from. Everybody thinks I kind of did it deliberately. It was just like...
We'll call you George.
Yeah, just call me George. That's what my mum calls me, so I guess that'll do it.
Yes, it fits then, doesn't it? We were just saying, while we were watching that you actually wrote that after you'd taken a freezing bath in a sort of a cosmic pool in India.
It sounds really mad. I went to this place here with a friend of mine in India, which is like a kind of sacred bathing pool in a place called Vrindavan, and I sort of got in this water. It was really freezing and had to get out straight away, and he kept saying, no, you've got to stay in it for like 10 minutes. So I kind of got around to doing about 10 minutes on and off. And I wrote it after being in there. I mean, I don't know if there's any significance in it, but it's a true story.
It got you warm, anyway.
Ripley's Believe It or Not.
But how significant is it that you went to India in the first place? I mean, that has sort of Hare Krishna-type rhythms to it.
Yeah.
You have not, have you, become a sort of devotee?
Well, I don't know, really. It's difficult to say because I'm a bit of a novice. I mean, I don't know that much about it myself. All I know is that, I mean, I'm a vegetarian, which is one of the basic principles of it. But really, I mean, I've got a few friends that are in the movement, good friends. So I guess that's the association that I've got. You know, I mean, I think all of us, I've said this before, like, you know, you're influenced by the people that you meet. And, you know, I really like them. In fact, the funniest thing, I mean, because I've been doing a lot of TV shows with the devotees, and people say, oh, aren't they nice? Because I think they've got a bit of a kind of weird reputation, you know. People actually think of them like they think of the Moonies, and they're not like that at all. They're actually really sweet people.
But you do have to more or less give everything up, don't you?
No, you don't. No, that's a myth. I mean, yeah, if you're going to be... It's like if you're going to be a priest. It's like saying if you go to church, you have to be, you know, you have to become a priest. I mean, there's all different levels of devotion, you know. People who go to church don't give everything up, you know. But it's no, it's not about that at all, you know. But the basic thing, if you're going to be associated, you have to be a vegetarian.
Which you are, and you'll be cooking something for us later on, I know. With Susan, that should be worthwhile. The thing about religion, I suppose, and para-religion, or however you want to describe it, it often follows a very bad experience in somebody's life. It's not that one turns to religion, but it enters into your life.
Well, I think, you know, there's a saying, you know, unless you've been hit by a few trucks, you have nothing really to judge your life by. I mean, yeah, it is a cliche, but I'm afraid it's a fact of life as well, you know. You always find people with sort of the most interesting stories of people that have had bad experiences, you know. And I guess I have to say I'm one of them.
Yes. But did you have any spiritual dimension before you went through your
I've always been interested in it. I mean, I wrote a song called Karma Chameleon about 7 years ago, so I've always been aware of that kind of ideal, you know, in the word. And, yeah, I'm very interested in it, yeah. I mean, there were 3 countries, when I was a child, there were 3 countries that I wanted to go to: Israel, Egypt, and India. And I've been to all of them. Next I want to go to Thailand, because I've heard that's really nice too.
Yes.
But the whole spiritual thing, I know you're interested in all sorts of things, and Buddhism obviously among them, but that really has come together since you...
If you go back to... It's a pity you couldn't show the video, but there's a song we did called the Medal Song, Culture Club, where we had devotees, and that was about 7 or 8 years ago. Anyone who's an ardent Culture Club fan will know that fact. So my relationship with them has been going on for years and years and years. I mean, I guess I'm just interested in alternative things, you know, things like that really catch my eye. I think, you know, as a musician and as a creative person, you kind of notice things like that. I mean, it's like when I see Hasidic Jews, I want to know more about them. It's just the way I am. I want to know why they're like that, and I'm interested.
But that sort of spiritual dimension to you didn't help you from crashing down 4 years ago, although it's helped you to recover from it.
Well, I think what it does is it helps you realise that everything that happens to you in your life is kind of like part of your lesson. You know, I mean, you know, the most important thing is that you turn the negative things in your life into a positive thing. You know, I mean, all the things that happen to us, I think we choose for various reasons, whatever it may be, relationships, you know, problems like that. You know, I think you do choose them. You're not really aware of them at the time, you know.
So
and to think, you know,
everything has an equal and opposite reaction, is what you're saying. Everything you do.
And I think it's sort of some people learn quickly, and some people never learn. You know. Which kind of makes sense. I mean, that's why I really believe in, like, reincarnation, because I think if you don't sort out your problems in this life, you come back. Like, a lot of people sort of, they leave this world confused and bitter and angry and unhappy. And it makes sense that they're going to come back, you know, probably as a cow.
What would you do if you came back as a tabloid journalist?
Oh, dear.
What a question.
I'd have therapy.
You had a horrific time at the time at the hands of the press. I mean, it's ironic, really, because they loved you, they adored you. You could do nothing wrong for many years.
I think it's difficult because if you play that game, you know, I mean, obviously, when you're young, I think you see being in the press and being in the newspapers as something good. You think it's like proof that you're good. And you kind of get... I mean, it's not that you get obsessed by it. I think that when you start out in music and everything's going really well, you don't really question all the things you're doing. It's not until you get a bit older and you start to realise the effect that it has on your career. I mean, popularity really does breed contempt, especially in this country. People get sick of you very quickly. I mean, I think we're all guilty of it. I see people in the press and I think, oh, God, not another picture of them. So you can imagine the effect that it has on other people. I mean, it does, you know.
Yeah.
Plus, Karma Chameleon was that #1 for 9 weeks and it drove everyone mad, you know. So I think people needed a break, you know. People say that song. I mean, even good friends of mine said, oh, turn it
So do you
off.
think? So I mean, as you say, particularly in this country, there's this well-worn tradition of building them up and then knocking them down,
Yeah.
and waiting to see if they can stand up again when they've had a good kicking.
Yeah.
Do you sort of understand that in a way, in a bizarre sort of way, that that's the way it's got to
I
be?
don't really understand it, no. I mean, I think criticising all the time must be a really miserable job. I mean, I always feel sorry for people that have to analyse it. It's like, I've been asked a few times to go and review films, and I go along, and because I've been told to review it, I don't enjoy it in the same way as if I went along naively and just enjoyed it. So you can imagine if you had to do that every day of your life, you'd have to end up pretty cynical and miserable, because you're just dissecting things all the time, and it can't be pleasant, you know.
But you approach it with a whole set of preconceptions, which is it is your job to analyse and criticise. Therefore, there must be something you don't like, otherwise you're not doing your job properly.
I think a lot of journalists, I think the press has changed as well. A lot of journalists now think they have to be really nasty, you know, because it's like you get to a level where, you know, you write sort of a sensationalist story and then the next one has to be more ugly and more, you know, more sort of degrading.
I have to say, Judy and I were at a press conference. I say this for the benefit of the viewers as well. We were at a press conference about 2 weeks ago talking about our programme, and we couldn't believe our eyes. We opened the papers the next day and we read that our marriage was on the rocks and that we were going to leave the programme. It's just extraordinary.
I read something really funny yesterday that I've been hounding Richard Gere with phone calls for that. I try and liberate the Dalai Lama, which I thought was really weird. But I mean, it's... You
just make it up.
It's just, a lot of the time it's really cheeky and you think... I mean, sometimes, some of the weird stories I like, because I think, well, they make me sound a bit odd, you know, and I quite like that, but some of them are so stupid, and it just makes you look like an idiot, and you think, I wonder if people actually believe it. And people, I don't think most people do, but some people do. You know, people say weird things to me, you know.
Yeah. Well, you say that, you know, your belief in reincarnation and everything, that you feel you have to learn. In a sense, everything that happens to you in this life is something that you've sort of earned, or not earned, or even if it's a negative thing.
Or it may be earned from a previous life.
Right. But do you think, you say that, you know, if you don't deal with your problems, you come back in another incarnation and deal with them. Have you dealt with all yours now? Are you...
I don't know, really. I think the trick is also when you're born, you lose all that past knowledge. Do you know what I mean?
No.
I think that's the trick. I mean, I actually think probably the safest place is in the womb.
Just never come out.
You know, because that's when you're really safe. It's when you're born that you sort of, you know, you kind of suffer all your traumas and things like that.
So you're not born with a little scroll saying, well, look,
no, I think
George,
when you're born,
you did this last
you lose
time.
it all. You know, you lose it all.
So there's not really much point, really, is there? I
mean, what is the meaning of life? Questions on a postcard.
What is the meaning of your career? I mean, to you. I mean, are you still? I mean, you've been a success. You are a success again. Is that important to you, or would you not care if you didn't?
Well, I mean, I like working. I think that's the most important thing. I mean, obviously, with record companies, you've got to make some money for them because, to a point, you know, they're there to make money. So obviously, you can't just keep putting out artistic statements. You know, it can only go on for so long. So I mean, that's one side of it. But I mean, I like making records. I like not having a job. I don't like working.
In a sense, your personality's overshadowed your voice, because you have got this incredible voice, wonderful voice. It's quite clear from Karma Chameleon.
I think some people can build their careers on being mysterious. You know, like people like Prince or Michael Jackson. You know, that works for some people. But for me, I don't think it would have worked. You know, part of my appeal is the fact that I've got, you know, a lot to say for myself, and I don't think that's something that I should be embarrassed about. You know. I mean, you know, on my show that I do on BSB, I never interview people from the music world because they just come on and they've got nothing to say. And really, they're not there for any reason but to sell their record, you know. I mean, of course, we all have to do it, and that's the ugly side of their business. It's kind of like prostituting yourself, you know, buy my record. And you just have to make it as pleasant as possible, I think, you know.
It's nice to talk to someone who's experienced the other side of the fence, so to speak. Thanks very much indeed, George. Thank you. And as we said earlier, don't forget that George, ever a good sport, will be putting on his pinny to give Susan Brooks a few tips on vegetarian cooking a little bit later.
I'm leaving.